Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, wherever you are joining us from around the world. This is Parimal Kumar, founder and CEO of Testrig Technologies, and I would like to welcome all of you in today's webinar, and we are really excited to have you here. Before we dive into the world of automation testing, let's introduce Testrig Technologies, a leading QA and software testing company with over 10 years of experience and trusted by global brands. At Testrig, we specialize in delivering high-quality, scalable testing solutions with a strong focus on automation to help businesses accelerate release cycles, improve product quality, and reduce costs. With deep domain expertise and a passion for innovation, we are here to help you achieve continuous testing excellence. So, the topic for today's webinar is test automation as the key to continuous delivery. In today's fast-paced development landscape, delivering high-quality software quickly is not a nice to have anymore. It's a business requirement. Companies are under constant pressure to release updates faster without compromising on stability or user experience. That's where test automation becomes a game changer. We chose this topic because we have seen firsthand with our clients how automation directly enables continuous delivery. It helps team catch issues earlier, reduce testing time, and release with confidence. But despite its value, many teams still struggle with where to start, how to scale, or how to integrate it effectively into their CI/CD pipelines. So today, our goal is to demystify test automation, share practical strategies, and show you how it can truly become a driver, not a blocker of continuous delivery. So agenda for today's webinar is that we are going to start with understanding of industry challenges. Our speaker will provide the solutions along with the real world example. We will share the live demo also, followed by question and answer session. And in last, we will have a live poll. So whoever have joined from LinkedIn, request you to please post your questions or any kind of query in comment section. And if you have joined through Zoom, you can post your question in Q&A section. So let's welcome our speaker, Mr. Ali Asdar Chaiwala and Mr. Uday Sankar. Over to you, Ali.
Thank you, Parimal. Thank you for the insight. Hi everyone, I am Ali Asghar Chaiwala. I'm working with Testrig Technologies as a chief test architect. Around 2 decades of experience in test automation, help a lot of clients setting up the automation processes and testing strategies. So today we are going to talk about the challenges that we have seen with some of our customers. So we will talk three major challenges over here in this session. It depends on what kind of product they are having and what kind of challenges. But here we are only going to talk about three challenges and how we have provided a solution to the customer for these three challenges. The first one is environment configuration complexity. Now with the cloud-based application, which is easy to set up the multiple cloud environment, we see a lot of customers have different environments like development, staging, and production. And each of these environments have a unique configuration setup. Now, this brings a complexity for the test automation to be run on specific environment with specific configuration. For these cloud native applications, they are multi-tenant architecture. Now, integration with third-party applications, APIs, and their feature flag configurations also. Now, with the limited resources and hard-coded environment values, these create the test with unpredictable failures. Now, second challenge that we've seen with some of our customers that they have their data validation gaps. Now, with most of the customer focus on the front-end application, there's a blind spot of data validation, which without this proper data validation capabilities, team cannot confirm that data that has been sent from the front end is getting correctly updated on database. Now, this leads to unrelated data integrity issues in production environment. The third challenge that we are seeing is now with the faster delivery cycles, the features are being added with faster pace. This increases the test coverage also. We are adding more and more tests to the pipeline. We want more test coverage, but the test execution time is getting increased, which delays the overall release of the product, and that reduces the velocity overall. Now, we have seen that some of the regression tests that runs, they takes hours, and which delays the overall deployment to a specific environment. So these are the three challenges that we've seen with some of our customers, and then we came up with solution around it. Now we are going to talk about solutions, and we'll talk about the demo also, how we've solved this problem with one of the automation framework. Now, we implemented dynamic environment configuration. This approach helped the CI/CD integration to dynamically pick up the specific environment configuration. Now, test automatically adopts the correct endpoint authentication and tenant-specific data based on the context. This allows the maintenance of single test code. You don't need to have multiple test code for different environment. You can automatically pick up a specific environment, and the test will pick up the specific configuration setting and run on a particular environment with that particular test data. The second solution that we came up with, integrating the database validation along with the UI validation. Now, this approach provides the full visibility in data layer, enabling the verification of the complete flow of the transaction. Teams can now confirm that data is getting properly updated in databases via the front end or via any services, and we verify those things along with the UI test. This comprehensive validation helps to catch the data integrity issues by adding more coverage with data verification. The third and the major solution that we came up with, as we talked about, they are challenged a lot of the test suits are big growing, and we want to make it faster. So we came up with a strategic test parallelization. By implementing this test parallelization, we on the cloud-based infrastructure, we could reduce execution time by 60% for some of the customers. And this transformation provided faster feedback to development team, to the stakeholders, and they can take a decision to put the code to the next environment. This result in acceleration in release cycle. Now, as we are getting faster feedbacks, we can push the code to the next environment. We can take a decision around it. Now we are going to talk about one of the business case scenario or real world scenario where we worked with one of our customer it was a tech-based software, a tech-based company, and they wanted to launch the product for multiple country platform. And it was an major event where they want to make sure that everything is working fine. People are going to come for the event, check the coding, those kind of activities. Now, this platform requires regional deployment with large API variation. Players registration, live scoring need to be done, and there was a cadence that there should be every week there should be a release happening to the production environment. Now, the challenges that we faced, because the infrastructure, the complexity was used, so there was very slow QA cycles now. As there were multiple integrations with third party, there was a lot of chances of data mismatch around those things. And then the framework was very rigid. It was not a flexible framework. So we have had an objective with the client to have a faster feedback loops. We wanted to make sure that both UI and the data, the backend data integrity has been verified. And we made the framework, the automation framework configurable for each environment. Now, our solution, we use Cypress, is one of the automation framework that we use for this particular solution. And we made sure that all the challenges that we discussed has been covered in this solution. So there is environment-specific configuration for that particular framework, real-time DynamoDB validation. Now, in this case, because the customer was using DynamoDB database, we made sure that the front end and the back end, which is our DynamoDB database, there is a validation in place. And we also implemented parallel test run through GitHub Action, and that reduced the overall test run to 45 minutes. Now, I will hand over to Uday, who is going to demonstrate how we have implemented, and then we'll go over with the Q&A session, and then we'll come to the board.
Thank you, Ali, for the detailed explanation regarding the challenges and their solutions. Hello, everyone. I am Uday Shankar, and I have 10 years of experience, and I'm working with Testrig as a QA automation lead. I am specialized in Cypress, CI/CD pipelines, and cloud-based test frameworks. So before we dive into the demo, I encourage you to keep dropping your questions in the Q&A section. We will address them towards the end, and we will take some questions in between the solutions as well. So I'm going to show the solution in 3 phases regarding the challenges discussed by Ali earlier, which is multi-environment and configuration-based automation, real-time data validation, and parallel execution for speed with reporting tools for better insights. So the first challenge was environment configuration complexity. And our goal is to avoid duplications and prevent environment-specific errors. And to implement these solutions, I have used configuration files, environment files, and how I have injected these into CI/CD using command lines. And we will see how flexible it is to run our test across the environments. So let's jump into the implementation. So let's see the implementation here. So as in real world, we have, at least 3 or 4 environments, and maximum it's up to the infrastructure. Sometimes we have 10, 12, 15 environments. So in here, I have kept 6 environments, and these environment.json files I have kept in config folder. And each of the environment file, I have base URL, title, and header. So I will run the same test case in multiple environments, and we will validate these things. So to implement this, let's go to cypress.config.ts. And so see, here I have kept one version variable, which is taking the version variable passed from the command lines. So whatever version I will provide, so suppose if version is dev, then in the config, it will go to config/dev.env.json. And if it is stage, then in the config folder /stage.env.json. So this way we will get our file environment variable with respect to the environment provided from the command line. And I have integrated these with the config.env. So whatever we have in the environment file and whatever we have in the config environment file, we will get all those using this process. So config.base URL is the base URL provided in the JSON file of each environment. So this is our test. And here I am validating the title should be with respect to the environment, whether title is correct or not, and whether header is correct or not, using cypress.env, which is again which is the solution provided by Cypress to get the environment variables directly. And in the scripts, I have kept these scripts to run in multiple environments. So suppose if we give npm run dev, it will open the Cypress in dev environment. And if you, so if we compare this with other tools, like right now it's Cypress. So, if we use Selenium, then it's hard to integrate these multiple environment things. We have to code a lot of things. We have to get that environment, and we have to check. We have to get all the variables from those. So we have to code a lot of things. So that's why Cypress is coming handy here to work with the multiple environments. So it's Open Cypress in Testrig community /dev-dev, which is the dev environment. And we can check here, the base URL is also Testrig community-dev. And let's run this test, which will run in the dev environment. See, the base URL is the Testrig community-dev, and it will visit this dev environment, and it will check the title with respect to the dev environment, which is Testrig community dev, and header as well, which is again Testrig community-dev. So this is for dev environment. And let's run the same test case in another environment, let's say stage. So I'll give this command npm run stage. So it will again open the Cypress in stage environment, and it will again validate the title and header are with respect to environment or not. So in this case, we have stage environment. So let's run this test. See, the base URL is, you can see Testrig community-stage in the URLs part. And we can go to settings, project settings, and again, we can validate our base URL is correctly set or not. And let's run this same test case again to verify the title and header with respect to stage environment right now. So it will visit this stage environment, which is Testrig community-stage, and it will verify the header, which is Testrig community-stage, and it will validate the header as well, which is again Testrig community-stage. So in this way, we can validate our multiple environment configuration. So let's see if we have any question regarding this topic. Ali, do we have any question regarding this multi-environment thing?
Not specific to environment thing, but if there are questions I think we can take at the end related to the tools and GitHub links, but I think we can take in Q&A section, right?
Okay, Ali. So let's see our second challenge, which was data validation gaps. So our goal is to ensure UI and backend are always in sync. And to implement this solution, I have used AWS DynamoDB integration. We can have any NoSQL database, query directly during Cypress test runs, validate dynamic data, for example, registration results, depending on our application flow, AWS SDK and pre-configured test tokens. And we will achieve real-time confidence in data validation. So let's see the implementation. So suppose I am registering some users from the UI, and those data got inserted into the database. So we have to verify those data are getting inserted in the database correctly or not. So I have this registration data.json, and in this test, I'm not verifying the UI part. I'm just verifying the data got inserted into the database or not. So this same registration data.json, we can use this data for registration part and again for the validation part. So we have this registration data.json, and I have kept it in the fixtures folder, which is again a great way to handle, separate it out, data part and the test part. And we can use these fixtures directly into the test. So I have kept here two sets of data, which is based on the ID age, email, first name, last name, registration date, and all. So we will verify in the test, we will verify these two sets of data. So let's go to the test. This is our test registration test.spec. And I have, first of all, I have imported that registration data from that fixtures file. And this test will verify these two sets of data in the test. So that's why I have used registration data.forEach. It will take one by one each set of data. And I have created one command. And in that command, I am passing this table name, which is Cypress demo data 2 and the ID of that user. So using this ID, we will get the other details of the user. So let's go to this command, which is get DynamoDB results using ID. So in this command, we need first a param. So what are the params we need here? So first table name, which I am providing from the test, expression attribute names, which is ID, hash ID, expression attributes values, which is the value of that ID. This CNP value is a parameter, which will take the value of that ID. And the key condition expression is the hash ID equals to colon CNP value. So AWS provides some inbuilt package, and we can use those to connect easily with this DynamoDB. So first of all, we need this package, AWS SDK. And using this package, we will create one object, which is DynamoDB in this case. And from this AWS SDK package, this provides DynamoDB class, and from that we have document client class. So using these classes, it will create one object which will connect directly with the database, and it will run the query based on our parameters we provide and will give us the results. So here DynamoDB.query and the params I have provided. It will execute this query and will give us the results. So let's see how the test is again. And then we will execute this test, and then we will validate this data got correctly inserted in the database or not. So in here, I will get all the fields based on this user ID, and I will validate what is the actual with the expected. So this items 0.id is coming from database, and test.id, which is coming from that fixtures data. So let's run this test case and see how it's validating the things. Okay, so see, it's running two times, one set and two sets, because I have kept two sets of data and I have used for each loop. So for each set of test, it will run two times. Okay, so in this way, we can achieve a direct query with the, just a second. Okay. So we will achieve this real-time confidence in our data validation. So Ali, do you want to add anything here, or if we have any question, we can take?
Yeah, I think there's one question regarding how strategically we can maintain this parallel execution and multiple environment. So in case of parallel execution, we need to make sure that we are making sure there are proper tags been defined. We are making sure that all the specific tests for specific environment can be grouped, can be tagged. And also we need to make sure that when we are running a test in parallel, is your infrastructure able to handle those number of threads or parallel runs? In that case, you might to reduce. And there are scenarios where we have seen that some other tests take more time. So you need to make sure that they are not blocking the whole parallel run. So they need to be grouped in a separate exclusion group kind of model we need to achieve. And whenever you're running your parallel test, you always need to make sure how is the health of your environment where the tests are being executed. So that way you can reduce the overall overhead that might cause while running those tests, and the maintenance is less because we are not writing a lot of code. You're using same code base, and it actually helps run test parallelly. Yeah, over to you there.
Thank you, Ali. So third challenge was based on these questions, which is the test execution bottlenecks. So our goal is to reduce execution time in CI/CD pipelines, especially when we have a large number of tests to run in regression suite. And to implement this solution, I have used GitHub Action with parallel execution using multiple containers, GitHub Matrix, and also splitting suites via tags, running 10 plus test suites concurrently, like depending on the test volume we will have. We can divide the test between the containers. And lastly, merging and reporting with Allure. So I have used Allure for reporting here. And we will achieve execution time reduced up to 50%. So if you are running two in the two containers parallelly, with improved visibility and traceability via dashboards. So let's see the implementation. Okay, so in the GitHub Action pipeline, I have this pipeline Cypress test with Allure. So in this pipeline, what I have done is I have used two containers, and each of the container, there are 5 specs running in parallel, because suppose I have 10 specs and I wanted to separate it out between two containers, but I want to run parallel all the specs in each of the container. So in each of the container, it will run parallelly, and the specs are also running parallelly in the containers. And lastly, it will merge all the reports coming from all the run and will post it. So here what I have done, first of all, I have divided my whatever the specs I'm providing, I have divided into two. So in two halves, first half and second half. So the first half will go in one container and the second half will go in another container. So in the run test one, first half will go according to the matrix I have given. So, and second half will go in the run test two. And in each of the container, again, it will run all the specs parallel. So I'll show you by running this, how it's running. And lastly, it will merge all the reports coming from both the containers, and it will publish our Allure report. And I will show you this report, how it looks like. So let's run this once, and we will see how it's executing, so that you will get an idea. So I'm running this workflow again. And the same concepts are provided by all the CI/CD, which in case if you have Azure, AWS, GitLab, basically similar concepts are provided by all the CI/CD tools. So we can use these matrix and matrix concept, and we can divide in the containers and run parallelly. So Ali, do you want to add anything here?
I think while achieving this parallelization, you always need to make sure that what kind of tests are running in which particular set. If there are dependencies between data, or there are conflicts between the flow, we always need to take care of which particular set will run in which group and where you will get result out of it. So those kind of you implement tagging mechanism, so that you get a set of group in one particular container, another set of group, another container. They're not conflicting while they're running it.
Thank you, Ali. So it's running, see, all the both the containers, but all the specs are running parallelly in both the containers. So run is completed in both the containers, and now the reporting job is executing, and it will merge all the reports coming from both the containers. And also it will upload this LO report here as well. So I'll show you that report. LO report, and before that, let's see where it's uploaded. So if we scroll down here, see merge LO report is here. So this is our one consolidated report, and it will look like this. So the advantage of using Allure, we can have any reports, any kind of reports we will have, but if we host this Allure report in our centralized server, then it can be accessible to any public and stakeholder as well to show what's going on and how is the report and how is we can also maintain the historical data to go through whenever we have to debug something, we can go through go through this dashboard. So this way we can divide our test suites into multiple containers, and we can achieve the less execution time, and it will result in faster feedback loop. So let's move into Q&A section. Over to you, Parimal.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ali and Uday, for the wonderful explanation of the challenges and sharing all the solutions. So we have got some questions. So Ali, I request you to please go through the questions, and if you can start taking questions one by one.
Sure. Thank you, Parimal. I think just in interest of time, I'll pick up a few of the questions. There are questions related to how do you decide which particular test automation tool should we pick. So that depends on multiple factors. One is what is the tech stack is being used from development, how is the skill from your automation team perspective, how they want to be implemented, and what are the features that you're looking for. If it is a Java-based application, people we prefer to have a automation framework built on Java. If now with most of the application front-end application are built on JavaScript, so Cypress and Playwright are widely used, and that depends what is the capability of your team. Yes, there's a question regarding GitHub repo. You can integrate Cypress or any of the automation tool with GitHub, or code build pipeline or Azure build pipeline. You can integrate those things. There's a question regarding is this demo includes API tests? Currently, we haven't covered the API tests, but definitely Cypress supports API tests, and down the line in future demos we can cover how we can do that. For database, there's a question regarding for beginner database validation using direct integration. What are some common queries type? So is what I understand, whenever you are trying to do a database validation, make sure you are not accessing all the data, you are specifically accessing that particular data, and you're always doing a read operation. You are not doing a write operation unless it's required to create the data. And make sure that you are sure that what are the columns and values that you want to fetch when you are querying a particular database from a automation tool perspective. This question regarding how do you balance between unit tests, integration tests, and end-to-end tests. So from agile testing perspective, you need to have even distribution for all these kind of tests. You need to have unit tests from a development perspective, which runs at the build pipeline. You need to have integration tests, like we saw, like where we have API tests, we can run, you can do more API tests, and there should be less focus on end-to-end tests, because end-to-end tests are going to take more time, and they are more, chances of there's a lot of maintenance when you write a lot of UI tests. So you need to make sure there's a lot of unit tests, there's a lot of integration tests, and then critical business scenarios are covered through end-to-end test. And I think we are over the time. What we would do is we'll definitely share some of the answer via channels, and I think that's pretty much I had from a Q&A session. Over to you, Parimal.
Thank you so much. And now we have reached to the last section of this webinar. So this is the live poll that what you would like to uh, listen in our next webinar. So I'm going to launch this live poll. And so request to all of you to please answer, uh, please choose any of the topic which we can cover in our next webinar. So thanks to all of you for spending your time and spending your valuable time with us to attend this webinar. Have a great day ahead. Thank you so much.